I am really looking forward to today's conversation, as I always do, because you learn a lot when you meet these mavericks that is on the journey of figuring out how to build, businesses that do more than just making a profit, making extreme impact on people, community, and the planet. And this is really one of those conversations today. And a very high spirit entrepreneur with lots of energy, as found out when we unlock Celia's journey in a moment. So today we're going to be talking about, her journey, as I already said, but also how do you actually, when you're so determined to build and grow a business as a force for good, how do you do that and ensure that you don't burn yourself out and your team? So welcome to the show, Celia.
Well, thank you. Lovely to meet you, Michael. I'm very excited to talk to you today.
Yeah, and me too, because you actually you're one of those guests that reach out because you have something on your heart. And I'd always look at everyone that reaches out, by the way, but some people said, oh, you haven't answered to me. I might look at it and might come back. But straight away, I could see there was something different here. And what is about Mavericks is also they dare to be different. And they know and do build businesses for a force for good. Could you give us a bit of an overview of your journey as an entrepreneur and how you actually come about to actually, create the Wellbeing Farm?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I started off in the NHS and in the NHS had a role which was challenging. My role, which was the most challenging, I should say, was a turnaround director asked to save £42 million from the health service, from the local economy, local health service. And I'll be honest with you, that really it was so challenging. It was really difficult. And I experienced burnout. Never had burnout. Well, I probably didn't know I'd ever had burnout, but on the journey that we'll chat later on, I kind of now understand myself a lot more. And so I got to the point where I went to the doctor and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me. And, when you have all the symptoms of stress, and he said, look, you're in burnout and you're going to have to take a few days off. And I said, well, how long are we looking at that I have to take off? And he goes, minimum of 2 weeks. And I was like, I can't possibly take 2 weeks off. And I've took the 2 weeks. And I'll be honest with you, all I did for 2 weeks was Google what is stress. And then I had to sign up to a course in stress because I couldn't just be stressed. I had to go and do a qualification in stress. I had to then go and do a qualification in organizational stress to see what are the symptoms that got me stressed. And I think this is symptomatic that it's all or nothing with me. And then that led to me resigning from the health service. I left the NHS. I thought I've had enough. I'd had a baby. They'd call me while on maternity leave to come and do this project. And I just thought, I'm actually going to do something, enjoy my family. But then it turned out that my partner had a rundown farm, and on a whim I said, could I transform your farm into something? And that started the journey with the Wellbeing Farm. I'd never done anything like it. And the next thing I'm sourcing funding. I'm literally then knocking down the farm, rebuilding it, installing wind turbine, installing water treatment plants. Had gone from never ever doing anything like this to completely working with architects, plumbers and electricians to create, in effect, a conference venue from a rundown farm. And the whole of the journey that I went on for that was, I'll be honest, Michael, it was so much that I ended up writing it up in a book because there was just too many mistakes I made. And I only wrote the book because it said, I cannot make these many mistakes and not let people learn from what I went through. Because I was somebody who didn't even know what VAT was, VAT and business rates. And I was that naive to setting up a business and making every mistake going. So there you go. It's out there. And this is where I am today. So from an NHS background, 12 years later, I am still hanging on as a hospitality venue, and it's going really good. So there you go.
Yeah. Talk a bit about what the farm do then, because one thing is like an incredible journey transforming the farm from, probably quite derelict into what it is today. What is the day-to-day activities on the farm? You already alluded to it is hospitality.
Yeah, it is. So we are a venue, an exclusive venue. So we don't serve a day-to-day kind of customers like a restaurant or something. We literally do pre-booked parties, weddings, corporate events, celebration of life, and a few ticket events like Christmas parties and those sort of around Mother's Day special kind of events. We also do quite a lot of community events. We do Pride in Your Wedding, which is quite a unique wedding show for the same-sex community. We do Christmas fairs. We do the usual sort of children's activity. We just did Love Fest, which it sounds a bit dodgy, but it was just Love Fest for love for yourself. It was over Valentine's weekend, but it was about self-love versus, I know we're a wedding venue, but this was about, yourself. But the thing we are known for more than anything is back as part of my journey in 2015, I was facing bankruptcy. And I'm there with this farm going, what on earth am I doing? And I'm with my mum, and I just had this horrific time of not being able to pay my VAT bill. And more importantly, I rang up the VAT office and tried to pay it with a credit card. And they said, we no longer accept credit cards. And then I had a night going, what on earth am I going to do? I had to I'll be honest with you, it was awful. I had to go to my sort of, at the time, nearly 75-year-old mother and said, can I borrow the money? Which was one of the most awfulest points in my life. I have paid her back now, but it was one of these, it's awful in sheer desperation. And luckily she lent it to me, and I'm forever grateful at that. But the point was, I'm there feeling very guilty, saying, I'll help you declutter your wardrobe. And one of the things she found was this bag of bow ties. And my dad had been a concert pianist, and he'd worn these bow ties all the time. And she was, of all the things, now what am I going to do with this bag of bow ties? And I literally went, I'm going to go and take them on my llamas. Now, yes, you did hear that right. I'm talking llamas as in the animal, because when I had this farm, they had these stables, and I didn't know what to do with all the stables. And I said, what animal could I get into a farm that could survive winters, doesn't take a lot of work, and basically could just live in a stable and that's it. So and I went all these different, almost like an A to Z of animals like you could have on a farm. And I came out, because I was studying stress, with the concept of llama trekking, and llamas being a source of de-stressing. Having never had a llama in my life, never met a llama, I'm going down to go and with my partner, going down to these llamas to say, could we bring llamas up to Lancashire? And so when I got these llamas, long story short, but I went and put a bow tie on one of these llamas, and I suddenly overnight went from somebody on the verge of bankruptcy to bookings flying in so much that we ended up kind of almost going from 15 to 43 weddings in literally within a year. And the business transformed. And so that's why I call my book, Why Put a Bow Tie on a Llama? Because it was this tiny little thing that everybody thinks, oh, it's this and it's that. And actually, sometimes it's just the tiniest little thing that can just make all the difference.
Do you think, because it often is the tipping point, isn't it? Yeah. Because it was that action you took at that point. But do you think you were also ready then to give people that experience? Because, you had been on the journey, you had prepared yourself, you had built it, and then you got the fame out of, by a little action you didn't really expect anything from, I guess, at that point.
Well, I think it was, the reality was that everybody started wanting to come up to these bow tie wearing llamas, because it was all on Facebook and what have you. And people kept saying, can I get married with a llama? And I'm like, well, I've got nowhere to marry you, And I had this old kind of cattle shed at the time, which was like an indoor horse arena, with stables and everything. And I'd spent all the money on another part of the business and not even considered this cattle shed. So I was going, well, I've only got that business over there, that building over there. So you'll get married in there. And at the time, it was literally an indoor horse arena. And I was like, well, I could put a bit of carpet down and a bit of... maybe you could get married in there. And people started getting married, and everybody wanted that barn, and everybody wanted... So the frustrating thing is I'd spent a fortune on the other building doing it all up. And in the end, nobody wanted that building. They wanted the almost the barn that was very rustic and kind of low key, I suppose, in terms of decor and what have you. And everyone wanted to get married in there. Since then, I've massively invested in that building. We now have kitchens in there and everything. And I employ all the chefs, all the staff, all the bar staff, everything. So it's not like a self-hire venue. We do everything. But it's a lesson in it. And you know what? If I had my time again, I'd have started with a marquee in a field. I would never have bulldozed down an entire building and rebuilt it, expecting that I've built it, that everybody just suddenly come in because I've built this amazing place. So that's a big lesson. Don't ever do that.
Yeah, that comes back to you can build it, but they will not come because you build it. You have to get them there.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness! And as you said, you didn't need to do marketing in the NHS. There's excess demand for your services all the time. So I'll be honest, these things like marketing, like basics that how to run a business, I just didn't have this experience. And when I look back, I must have been absolutely bonkers to have done what I did. But then there we go.
And what is the mission then of the Wellbeing Farm? What is that? What bigger goal are you achieving that you probably never, the B hack? You're probably never going to achieve it, but you're aiming for it.
Yeah, well, my mission is, I'm not on a mission to grow any more businesses. I'm very happy with the one business. I don't want any more. For me, it's a lifestyle business. And I want it to be so special, and I really have a mission to be one of the most sustainable venues, either in the UK or in the world. Let's go for it. So but I want to almost to be seen as a almost a model of how hospitality businesses can become a force for good, and how you can embrace the concept. Like we do a lot on the concept of conscious. And conscious for me means being aware, being so aware of that, of what you want as a person. So if you want, I know we have all these societal expectations, but you want to get married and your parents go, well, I would like, I'd like you to have it this way. And they go, you need to invite Auntie Joan. Now, Auntie Joan isn't even an auntie. She's a friend of your mum's from goodness knows how many years ago. You not even got a relation, but you as a couple are expected to have to pay £120 for this auntie that you're not even a relative. And it's that expectation that you should have a certain style of event, that you should have a certain way of celebrating a funeral, that you should have a certain way of hosting a party. And actually, this is about, look, what do you want as an individual? Let's just really shape this amazing experience that becomes all about you. You don't have to have a funeral that's all dull and black. If you want rock music and you want colour and you want everybody kind of putting balloons in the air, whatever, then you can have that for your funeral or your party. Or if you want to turn up in a Union Jack dress, you can, So it's that kind of whole really focusing on a real major personalization experience in the farm.
And you already told about the events you do. You go from wedding to funerals, the life's journey in principle. You also talk about you talk about doing good. How a hospitality business can become a force for good. Yeah. Can you talk a bit about that journey you've been on? What you've done, because if people go to your website, they will see there's lots of you're involved in lots of things besides you have an impact report, which is very unusual for a smaller business. You have carbon pledge, you have green meetings, you have local initiatives. You support well-being. So it's not just about planet, it's also about humans and women, and the Burn Chef project as well, which we discussed when we had our pre-call before this. So take us a bit through that and why the commitment is so, you are deeply committing for a very small business.
Yeah. So the journey to all of this sort of business as a force for good, if you like, started when I was building the farm and I had no gas. So I had to find a way of powering the farm up. I looked at all these different types of renewables and decided that because we were 800 feet above sea level, a wind turbine would be perfect. So I go and install this 20 kilowatt wind turbine, which almost towered above the farm. And it became like a beacon of sustainability. So every time people came to the farm, they were like, oh God, you're really sustainable because you've got a turbine above your farm. And I was thinking, well, crikey, I've put this turbine in, I better become sustainable. So it started me on this journey of sustainability where, I put the water treatment plant in. We looked at every single bit of the farm about sustainability. Every practice that we did was looking through the lens of sustainability and all of this. Now, the journey really was cemented when, going back to the dreaded word COVID, and in 2021, Rishi Sunak came out with this Eat Out to Help Out for hospitality. Do you remember when we were all locked up and they said you could reopen hospitality?
Yeah.
Now, I had a wedding venue which houses 300. And there's no way that, do you remember, and at the time there was this restriction on weddings that you could open up for 15 people.
Yeah.
Now, for me, to bring the staff back for 15 people off furlough and to do all of the things, I'd never have made it work. So I start Googling like mad or searching, how could I open my business up for Eat Out to Help Out? Now, the problem is I'm in Lancashire, not Lanzarote. So the weather is terrible. I'm 800 feet above sea level with a wind turbine that does really well. So for me to get a strong enough marquee in the first place would need to be a significant investment. And I'm there looking around and I come across this announcement by Brewdog at the time, who's just suddenly announced they're a B Corp. Now I'm like, what on earth is this B Corp? Beer, brewery, what on earth, booze, what does that stand for? Because Brewdog had announced it. And I then became obsessed with finding out what this B Corp thing. And I discovered that this B Corp stands for Benefit Corporation, or i.e. a business that's a force for good. Now, up until this point, I've been running a business from an NHS background and I'll be honest, a bit disillusioned with what business was about because it all seemed to be this focus on profits and shareholder income. And I was like, I want to create something. I've not done 14 years in the health service just to create this kind of machine that makes profit just for me and doesn't do anything. So for me, the B Corp movement was one of the most exciting moments that I sort of found. I almost went, wow, this is what I've been looking for. And I discovered that if I was to become a B Corp, my business could be a force for good, and that it really, you had to have this assessment that looked at your business through the lens of how you treat the staff and the well-being of your staff, your role in the community and how your business contributes to the local community, and also your efforts to be sustainable in helping the planet and what have you. And I discovered this incredible community that these are most amazing companies like Patagonia, Innocent Smoothies, Body Shop, Tridos Bank, Tony's Chocolonely, I could go on and on, Ben & Jerry's. They're all part of this B Corp. And I'm like, but all these brands I love, especially Tony's Chocolonely. And I'm like, what? How do I become this amazing business? And so I said, look, okay, forget Eat Out to Help Out. While I'm in COVID, I'm going to put all my attention to doing my business B Corp application. So I literally spent the time during COVID doing nothing apart from my B Corp application. Now, it was great because I had the time to do it. And because this is it, because it's not an easy process, and you then discover through this B Corp work that, the reason that the movement is growing so much, like when I started my work, there was probably about 500 B Corps in the world, and there's now in the UK, and there's now we're approaching going up to nearly 5,000. It's kind of growing that much, and I discovered that, to be honest, a lot of people get these certifications, and if you put enough money into buying something, you can buy anything really if you put enough money into it.
Yeah.
But you can't buy the B Corp certification because there's so much rigor around the evidence-based. I mean, I became a B Corp in 2022 and I became one of the first venues in the country to be B Corp, but also the first wedding venue, the first independent wedding venue in the world. There wasn't another wedding venue that was calling themselves. There was a B Corp. So I was like, wow, this is like amazing. But what is brilliant about it is when people come and visit and you have the B Corp symbol on and you say to any couple, have you seen this B Corp symbol anywhere else? And they go, no, I haven't. I said, well, it's a sign of trust. It's a sign that it's a business that's doing a force for good. It's a sign of a business that's run properly, that looks after its staff, that plays its role on the planet, that is really purpose-led business. And for me, it's not only an amazing thing to do, but also you can differentiate yourself as a result of this. You can quite rightly say around being a force for good. And there is some issues, like anything, it's not perfect, There's some areas which, yes, it could improve on. And there's some things that are, no certification is perfect. No. But it's probably the best that is out there at the moment, I'll be honest with you. And what I love about it is because you can then enter this like world where these B Corps all meet and they all trade off each other. And so, if I want the HR policy from, I don't know, Innocent Smoothies, if I ask them, they'd probably give it to me. They're incredible openness and collaboration and helpfulness. And sometimes in business, you get a real source of competitiveness. And I'm not giving them that my business because, they might copy it or whatever. There's nothing like that in the B Corp community. Everybody's out there to be a force for good, to help society, to do their bit. And the process is so rigorous that when you trade with a B Corp, you know that you are going to get what they promise. And that is what is brilliant about it.
I've had other guests on the talks about the power of the B Corp, and they say it's not really about, getting the sticker and use that to position yourself. That's a great marketing tool, but it's really about the process and the internal reflection you go through, and everybody has different parts of that journey where it's really valuable. Did you feel that today as well, as you're still, I guess, working on improving yourself within the framework?
Well, the thing is, you start and you get this framework, and then I'm going through my recertification at the moment. I was literally on there till late last night trying to get it through because they are so thorough. They want their payroll records, they want the addresses of all your suppliers to prove that you support local communities, local suppliers, local work. They want to see your wages to prove that you're paying people as much as you can the real living wage. They want your data on, absolutely everything. So when you then get your score and you do it for the first time, you then have to have this continuous improvement. So you can't just stop at that score and go like other certifications to go, well, I've achieved that badge now. I'm going to stick that badge on my website and then sod it. I've got the badge. I'm going to go back to how I was operating before. It's not like that. You have to make continuous improvement all the time. And you're audited about it. So every year you have to produce an impact report showing exactly what you've done in the sort of key critical areas that you're assessed upon. And you have to show this year-on-year improvement. They want to know from your accounts kind of what you've been doing, how much charitable donations, for example, you've given, et cetera, et cetera. And what the evidence that you are doing and helping your staff, helping society, helping the planet. So, it's very rigorous, but I think that sets the standard. That's why people are really supportive that when you become a B Corp, you're trading with an ethical, good business. So it drives continuous improvement, and that is what it's about. It drives you to become a better business. It drives you to look at everything through the lens of sustainability. So sustainability isn't about kind of, for me, sort of EV chargers and a recycling bin in the corner. This is about a fundamental way of running your business. Sustainability is seen as important as marketing and operations and the kitchen as far as a hospitality business is concerned. Sustainability features through the lens of absolutely everything. And it's not only about you as a business owner being on that journey. You have to take the whole team with you. And as the owner, you have to champion this, because if you're not behind it I don't feel that giving B Corp to somebody and going, oh, just complete that certification, unless you as a owner are absolutely behind this, that this is seen as fundamental to your business, it's not going to work. And that's why 52% of people who apply for B Corp fail, because it is a real systems change throughout the whole of the business.
And what has been the biggest benefit from doing that, if you just take away the marketing and the sales, but actually internally, what is like some of the big benefits you've seen from doing that?
Yeah, well, I think, you've got that incessant drive to want to do more to help. I mean, it's been amazing for me. I've ended up going over, one of the things I had was I used to donate money to charities. And I'd donate £500 here and there in different amounts. And some of the times I'd never even get a thank you for the charities, and I'm like, well, hang on, for a small business, £500 is quite a lot of money, And so I wanted a charity that I could make a real massive difference. And I was sick of, I'll be honest with you, a lot of charities have to make money and some of them are run like a business. But some of the salaries I was seeing for some of the chief exec salaries, for me, I was like, well, actually, I want to support a charity that is all the money that I give is going to go to that charity and make a massive difference. So I looked for a charity and I found a charity which was called One Woman at a Time and was all about empowering women in Kenya. And over there, when you get to about the age of 12, your parental pressure to either marry or and not only marry, but be cut through female genital mutilation is very much prevalent in the area of Kenya and West Pokot area where we focus on. So I decided I wanted to support a charity to do something completely different. And so I contact the charity, and it is a long story, but I ended up now as the chairman of that charity. And in November, I went for myself. I thought, this charity can't be that good. It cannot be doing all the work it's doing on the money it brings in. It can't make that much of a difference. So I decided to do my own due diligence and to go to Kenya, to the communities that it's serving, to find out for myself. So I spent about a month in November, just gone, last November, working with the charity, touring schools, hospitals, prisons, health centres, everywhere, looking at this charity. And oh my goodness, I was absolutely blown away. And we went to the graduation ceremony of over 100 women that young girls that they've been educated through this charity and almost, I can't use the word rescued, but saved from this female to FGM and supported and educated. And while I was over there, I even met somebody and set her up in business and funded her for 6 months of the running costs of her business. And my business also, instead of just giving a one-off donation to the charity, my business, the Wellbeing Farm, funds the accounting. I pay for the bookkeeping. I pay for the website. I pay for the social media, and I pay for a lot of the running costs of a charity. So then the charity can just focus on giving the resources to the girls directly in Kenya. Now, I would never, ever have done that if I was a normal business, because I wouldn't have needed to. I'd have gone, well, I don't need to do things like that. And that's what I love about a business as a powerful, the purpose-led business, that you can do things like that. You can make a real massive difference with your business, and you can start changing things and having that real impact. Half the things we do, like we do big community events, we do wedding fairs focusing on same-sex couples, we do Christmas fairs, which support ethical, very small traders who are selling kind of handmade, homemade, ethical kind of gifts. We do that love fest. None of these make any money for us whatsoever, but they are the right things to do. We feel like we give our facilities, we don't hardly charge anything for a stand, and people can come in and, experience the farm, but also we just feel it's a nice thing for the community for us to do. We employ all these people, young people, and local people. And you know what? We just try and be different. And it's a great way of differentiating yourself as a hospitality business in a world where lots of people start looking all the same. You've got to have a way to stand out.
Yeah, and it's really, and it comes back to what you said. Also, you created a business, a lifestyle business and then you have actually the time and the headspace to go and become the chairman and get involved in that charity. I love that, and that comes really back to your, the deep mission about making the world a better place. You also talk about the staff a couple of times, and I want to touch on that because you made this life change because of burnout yourself, and you're also involved in the Burn Chef project. Talk a bit about your approach to, you call it leadership, culture, how you try to avoid burnout, because it's a tough industry and events is also quite full on.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's got to the point where, I'll be honest, I'm hardly at the farm. The farm just runs without me. I've got an amazing team. That's not without its stresses. You have to have a real confidence in your team to be able to do that. And I read a book called Traction by Gino Wickman, which was the essence was, it's brilliant. Yeah, love it. How to run a business that doesn't rely on you. Oh my goodness. And I said, sometimes you get these books and you read them and you don't do anything with them, let's be honest. Yeah. I literally read that book, purchased copies from a sort of team and said, we are going to implement Traction in this business. And that work started in 2019. Yeah. And I did everything to implement that. We literally documented our processes for every single thing, literally from how you lay the butter out on an event, how you cut the butter, how you put it in a, and you can see that these businesses that are like the McDonald's this world that have absolutely everything procedurized and they do that for a reason, because the standards are maintained. I used to sit there and literally sit there and observe, and every single thing they did in a wedding, I would document every single step. So now when you run a wedding, the people who are running it, they don't need them now. But originally they used to have this real blow by blow account as exactly what would needed to happen at every point from way before, 7 a.m. when we're setting up and decorating the venue right through to, kind of 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning when they're leaving, and having that whole process. And that's God, my team now, they have full transparency with the budgets. They literally know exactly how much profit is made. It's up to them to drive the targets. They create their own targets. And they have full control over the running of it and everything else. And I just leave them to it, I'll be honest. Now, sometimes you've got to have a lot of trust in your team. There's so many businesses that would never, ever give their staff their books. The
open book principle in principle.
Yeah. They know everything. They know how much I take. Yeah. They know how much kind of I spend on stuff, traveling, all sorts. So, it's all very open. And that's the transparency part of being a B Corp. Maybe I've taken it a bit to the extreme, but no. And so, but, but I have ADHD. I am a nightmare to work with. I mean, I can imagine if I was in their shoes and if I was managed by me, I would be like, oh my goodness, because my brain just does not stop coming up with ideas. I literally never stop. I don't sleep that much. And I'll be there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and by 6 o'clock, we'll have a complete flat plan and strategy all written up. Unbelievable. And almost ChatGPT has accelerated this within me. The only thing it has done is given me someone to talk to at 4 o'clock in the morning and go, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this? And because I've got this private account of this, what I call him Rob the robot, who knows me so well, this machine can spurt out, and I read it and go, oh my God, that is just exactly what I wanted, because it's worked with me for over a year. It knows me so well. And And I love it. But the thing is, I think that's even more draining on the staff because I didn't have an idea. And it's not even just an idea anymore. It's like a whole paper on it that I'm sending to the team going, I've had this idea, but don't worry about it because I've written it all up for you. All you have to do is go and do all this. But they're still going to do all the videos. They're still going to do all the invitation. They're still going to schedule it all. They're still going to create the menus and create the event. So, you know what? Sometimes it's a good reason that I don't go there a lot because I think I honestly think sometimes I just stress them out.
Yeah, and it comes back to again your philosophy of self management or team, but it comes back to we talked. You mentioned Traction, which is an incredible book, and lots of guests that's been on the show have talked about this book. It's also a book that transformed my way of doing things. So I've really used this book and implemented a lot of it as well, self-implemented, I would rather say. But really, the visionary and the integrator, and there's no doubt about you are the visionary. I don't even have to look up. But then you need integrators and integrators to go and do it. And I think you're very aware of that. And I think that's really the key thing. And then I think we have been writing about the 7 tenets. We're writing the book, the Maverick book, out of all the interviews. And one of the things that actually came out of these 7 tenets is a stake in the outcome. And that means, it doesn't mean that you have shares or options in the business always, but also means that you have total transparency so you can make decision and leading yourself. And there's nothing hidden. That's full transparency within the business, whatever it is. You can go and look it up. It doesn't matter. I'm happy to share it, which is, I think, is super interesting. I just wanted to emphasize on that for the audience out there, the power of actually opening up and actually getting less stress as a business owner and founder. Yeah.
I mean, it's still stressful, but the stress is self-inflicted stress. It's, it's stuff that because I have so many ideas and everything is so exciting and I put my LinkedIn and everything is so excited. And once you get on this sustainability journey, every other email is about sustainability. And every other thing is like, I could be doing with it. Oh, yeah, I need to learn about water management. I'll go on that webinar. Oh, yeah, waste. Yeah, let me learn about recycling. And I know it all. But you're like, I really suffer from that FOMO. Oh my goodness, what if they're going to tell me something that I actually don't know? And I think part of my way of managing stress is I have to put real boundaries. I have a person, I have an executive assistant who's a physical person at the farm, and I have a virtual assistant who helps me with emails and stuff, because you have to put a support team around you, because then you really do burn out. I have quite a rigid morning routine. I'm on all these kind of green vitamin things that you just mix up in water and think we are getting about 25 different vitamins in one drink, and all that kind of thing. And wean myself off coffee. I used to be somebody who was on about 6 coffees a day. I'm now on this matcha latte, which is absolutely transformed me. And I'm on day 52 of no alcohol at the moment.
Well done.
I'm quite proud of that. That's my proudest achievement, which I'm saying that on a hospitality podcast. I'm a little bit concerned. We do a lot of, this is just you have to be
routines and rituals we talked a lot about on the show, and I have a bit, and then alcohol. I think I still will drink a glass of wine with food once in a while, but I'm really wind of that. The coffee is really, I'm down to 2 to 3 cups a day in my habit tracker. So the matcha thing, it's great, but it hasn't really, it's the taste of coffee. It's like when you have children, that's that's your treat, So, but I totally get it. And it's about how do you keep yourself in a high state? How do you get to the right energy levels to actually push all these things forward? Because obstacles will come, as you say. Yeah. Therefore, I would love to hear, what has been one of your most significant learners as a business owner over the last couple of years?
Oh, well, it's got to be trust your team. And you must, it's the differentiation is the most, for me, the most important thing to stand out, and to ignore your competition. I very rarely look at what the competition is doing. And one of the problems I think sometimes the hospitality industry faces, if I was to go in my sort of village, I could go in the pubs and you'd see the same thing and food-wise being served in every single pub. And you almost like everyone seems to just be doing the same thing, which is why I made the farm deliberately different. It is so not like a corporate events venue. It is so different. I even have made it deliberately different to weddings. We've really taken the principles of sustainability, fun, uniqueness, personalization in those things, but it doesn't look like your pink, lovely, sort of delicate, fluffy wedding venue with all beautiful chairs and tablecloths and all this sort of thing. And we don't even have tablecloth. And you've got to be doing that. I mean, our food, we don't do a plated service, for example. We just do the big feast where everybody's down the table sharing big platters and doing the whole thing. And the chef is up to the chef to go. Even our corporate offer, we've done away. We do not serve sandwiches. I refuse to be a venue that's serving sandwiches. I just don't do it. We serve these nourish bowls, giving those to corporates. I've done a lot of work on what kind of things nourish corporates rather than give them that carbohydrate slump type of thing. Yeah. So all of these, and I think you've got to stand out. You have to create something different. You've got to be about standing out and going, whatever everybody else is doing, I'm going to do the complete opposite. Because I think the public have had enough of going to the same thing and the same old venue and the same old offer from again and again and again. They're craving something different.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I've seen that myself. I'm involved in a couple of other projects where, especially around corporate food and how corporate food actually can fuel you, and actually how people is actually tired about eating a specific way. And also people has been talking to me, people that's doing weddings and stuff like, we just don't want the standard stuff, with the gravy and the potatoes. We actually want something that people's gonna feel great about eating, but also something, as you say, a feast. That's what people want. They don't want all this formal stuff. So I think I love that. You talked about trust in your team. How do you, because lots of leader talks about that and really want to achieve that. How did you get, because there's the ego in all of us and you want to be protected by it. How did you cross that bridge? How was the journey if you shortly to actually get, say, it's okay, here it is?
Well, you know what? I think if you don't trust them, you're always going to be trapped as a business owner doing the day in, day out things. I know I can't remember the last time I was at a wedding or a corporate event or anything like this. And we're only a small business. There's not loads of us there. It's about, I haven't got tons and tons of staff at all. But the point is, I think you just have to set your vision out, be really quite clear, and then let them just deliver it. Now, I will admit and hold my hands up, and if my team were here, they'd be going, hang on, you keep interfering half the time. And I do, because I keep coming up with these new ideas and driving the mad. But the ethos is, they know what they need to do. Sometimes I go and I'm looking at social media and going, oh my goodness, we're doing this now, and I've got no idea. And, and things like that. They're very creative. And I think if left to let them just get on with it, they just come up with some really, really, really good ideas, and I just let them do it. I think they have to realize that they're not going to be chastised for making an error. I prefer to have a team which came out with loads of ideas and was creative and tried different things than a team who just sat there and never and left it all to me to come out with that. And I love the fact that I sometimes will bring my friends, say, to a Christmas party, and I literally sit there and enjoy it as much as I was a guest, and almost pretend I've had nothing to do with it, with the venue. You know what I mean? Because and we have a really fun culture. I think you have to have a fun culture. We have llamas and alpacas and a sheep that sometimes walks down the aisle and just, we never know what on earth. I think when you work with animals, you've got to kind of have quite a laid back approach. We have got a relaxed vibe. I try and make sure the staff are happy. If the staff, a live band comes on and all the bar and waiting on staff want to stop on and have a quick dance on the dance floor, I have no problem with that whatsoever. Because the biggest thing I get is everyone goes, your team are so happy. They look as though they're genuinely having so much fun when they work. And I love that,
Yeah, and actually, that's how easy it is. Actually, it's also less control, and that's the scary bit, isn't it? Around trust, and that's really where you just have to let go. And actually, because of course they will, if they're the right people, they will take care of your business, and it's your job, of course, to make sure to get the right people involved.
Yeah.
What is the one question, Celia, you wished I've asked you? What would it be, and what would you have answered?
I think maybe where would I go on a magic carpet? That's always a good one.
That's a really good one.
I'm going to travel. I have a mission. I really want to go to Costa Rica is on the next hit list. I'm kind of wanting to go and visit all these sustainable countries and find out why they're sustainable. And I've got a mission that every time I go away, I do a full by-blow daily thing on all the sustainability habits. I have probably the most bins on my phone because I'm always going and looking at how people deal with waste. Anyway, never mind. But then I also go, kind of what's next? I mean, there's some exciting things. I'm about to launch an awareness day. I found a gap in the awareness day market. That's coming out in March.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. We always have B Corp month. We do a lot. I also did mention that we also run B Corp Fest. So I became so enamored with the B Corp movement. I wanted other people in Lancashire to become B Corp. So we run B Corp Fest, and that's in the 4th year. And I'm off to Scotland because there's some exciting speaker that I kind of want to get. And and I want to see if he'll come and talk at my the fest what I run here. And I'm also in April going off to the World Climate Leaders Conference, and I'm like, and some of me goes, "Who are you to go and do an awareness day? Who are you to go and create this?" But you know what? Sometimes you have to get over that and go, if it's not you, someone else is going to go and do it. And people might think, well, who the hell does she think she is, creating an awareness day and going off to Paris to this world leaders thing? But you know what? If you don't do it, and I live on this, I would never want to be, when I get to sort of that 80 odd and you're lying there going, why didn't I do all these things? Why didn't I ever go that far? Why didn't I go when I had the opportunity, that awareness day? Why did I not do it and think I was so small that I shouldn't have done it? Why did I not write the book? Why, do you know what I mean? And all these things. And that is a massive, for me, drive. The making the most of your life. You're trying to look back and really creating a legacy, for me, is a really big thing that drives me, not for the vanity purposes, but for that. If I was then asked that when this planet is dying, what did you do, Grandma? Hopefully, what did you do to play your bit when we're all sitting there around the table and the announcement that the planet's dying and what we all going to do? And I could quite rightly hold my head up high and go, well, I tried my best with my business.
I love the way you framed that thing, coming back to where we started, how to be a force for good. It's actually not about if you are the one saving everything, it's all the small things you do, and actually you try. I think that, and the story, the accountability in the story that you're going to have that conversation. I love that. Yeah. It's a very good way.
Can I just get you to ask me one more question?
Yeah.
If you were starting as a business on your net zero hospitality journey and you didn't know where to start, the biggest thing that has made the biggest impact, which has had no cost whatsoever, is all I did was to take the black plastic bags. Yeah. So when you think everybody uses these black plastic bags, especially in the hospitality industry, and they're scraping the plates and they're in the kitchens and they're everywhere. Now, you can't see what are in those black plastic bags. So what typically happens in a kitchen is the chefs chucking a tin, chucking the meat, chucking the vegetable peelings, chucking the tinfoil, scrunched up blue paper, all the cardboard, whatever. All I did was ban black plastic bags and use clear plastic bags. And when you start seeing what is being thrown away, you can start having the conversations with the staff. And it is the conversations that lead to action. Because it's the conversations that say, hang on, well, look at you've put in that bin. You've got all this, what I've just listed. Why couldn't you have separated your waste? And why on earth are you scraping the plates? Because now, the chef in my kitchen's now collects the waste food, weighs it, and gives me a record every day of how much waste food, if there is any. We have 7 different bins. The staff help me monitor the electricity and the water and everything. And it all stemmed from that tiny, tiny little switch from a black plastic bag to a clear plastic bag. And so don't think it's all about EV chargers and solar panels and massive investment. It isn't at all. There's hardly any charge, any cost to change those bags, and that will start your net zero journey.
And it comes back to you talked about consciousness in the beginning, and then everybody gets more conscious because it becomes visible. I love that. That was a great, great advice here. Where can people find out more about you, the Wellbeing Farm, and how can they connect with you if they thought, I want to really connect here and learn some more, or I want to come and do an event, or whatever it is?
Right. Well, I love my LinkedIn. 7:30 every day without fail, I'm on LinkedIn with a post. I mean, a lot of it is live, but most of the time it is. But, I love my LinkedIn. So it's under Celia Gaze. And then I've got the Wellbeing Farm as obviously the website, and we're very active on social media on all the channels. So you will find Wellbeing Farm or the Wellbeing Farm kind of on there with loads of videos on YouTube and things. And then for myself, I even have my own, because of the book, CeliaGaze.com. As a website, and I'm actively doing lots of speaking now, kind of trying to spread the word, just to really inspire other people to kind of go, actually, we could do some of that sustainability work, and just to show the difference it can make to your business.
Yeah, and I will definitely say have a look in the book as well, and follow you on LinkedIn. There's lots of great stuff there to learn from your journey, and also practical advice about how to implement things to become a force for good. I send you and the team all the power and energy you need to make the world a better place. And thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. I've loved talking to you, Michael. And thank you so much. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.